Hello and welcome to the world famous Champ We Are United football comic podcast. My name is Matt Richards. I am the host for today's episode, and joining me in Champ Towers as well. Let's see who else is in the studio. First of all, I'm going to introduce Neil Bygone Berrigan.
Hiya, it's me, Bygone Berrigan. Thanks for having me back again. Hey, I'll do my best.
Hi, Neil. Good to have you in the studios. And I'm also joined by, he's back, the man of 1,000 crap voices, 90% of them who are dead. We are joined by our founder, Gull. Hiya, Gull.
Hiya, it's still me, Bygone Berrigan. I don't think that got as many laughs as I thought it would, but I'll come back next episode if you'll have me back. No,
There's not
it's
that many
me.
people. There's not that many people to laugh. How many laughs do you need?
Well, at least half.
At least
I'm
half.
back.
He's back. Okay.
Have you
Well,
missed
it's
me?
good. Yes, we
No,
have. But shall we let Neil actually speak now?
Yeah, I was expecting him to respond to the impression, but he just stayed silent. I think he was
laughing.
shocked.
He's laughing on the screen. I can see him laughing.
It was uncanny. It really was. I think you should do me work team meetings, and I can just stay in bed or something like that. Do other things.
Well, yeah, all right. Yeah, if you'll pay me.
The best impression of my accent I've ever heard, I think, to be honest.
Oh, hey, it's the best impression of my accent I've ever heard.
Thank you for making me posh as well.
Oh dear. Oh, yes.
You can tell that Gull's back because it's all gone to pot already.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I think we do have some sort of semblance of plan, but I don't know why. So anyway, this is the lineup for today's pod.
Hang on, let him have his introductory bit.
What? He said hello.
I'll give you. I'm so used to him saying bye at the end. I didn't hear him say hello.
That's usually at the end.
Again.
Yeah.
He's waving again.
Right. Okay. So the lineup for today's pod, obviously, it's myself, Bygone Berrigan, and obviously we're so pleased to have Gull back in as well. And be prepared for loads of interruptions because he's, it's like a dog on heat. He hasn't been out for a while, Gull. So he'll be a bit excited today, won't you, Gull? Is Dot around? Is Dot around?
Is Dot around?
Yeah.
Hang on. Dot. It's started on back as well. Hello, everybody. Walk into the hello. It's me.
Well, that's good. It's nice. Put the kettle on where you don't. Cheers. Right. No, okay. So
it's not my colour.
Okay. Right. This it's still got the crap jokes. Okay. Never mind. So it's a shout out to other squad members who aren't here today. So it's a shout out to Simo, to Ridders, who's still on honeymoon, and to Tangent Paul, who's not here. He's doing some warm weather training in Portugal at the moment. So it's us three today. So we'll go through the running order. So shortly, I will be doing the social media feedback, and then next on the running order we have Bygone Berrigan. Who's going to do the voice this time? I don't know. Bygone, what are you doing for us tonight?
Tonight I'm going to be reviewing the Football Picture Story Monthly issue number 58 called Ghost Striker, which is a favourite of mine, and I should imagine a few others as well.
Excellent stuff. Looking forward to that. And then next on the running order, Gull, you're doing something for us as well, aren't you?
I am. Just a very, very brief section, and it'll be probably every episode from now on where I just list a particular comic and its issue numbers and dates, beginning and end. Not all of them, of course, just the beginning and the end. So collectors have got a little database of what issues are out there if they do want to collect those.
That's a great idea.
And we'll go through lots of different comics that go along.
Is there a name for the section, Gull? Have you thought of any names for the section?
Well, I mean, you know what I'm like for naming things. I thought I'd call it Gull Has Issues.
Very, very good. Very good. Okay, excellent. And you know what? You certainly do, don't you?
I do.
As everyone can tell.
I'll have to take another couple of months off in a minute.
Okay, excellent stuff. So we look forward to that. Then next on the running order is me, Mute-Button Matt. I'm going to be doing a couple of stories from the 1985 Roy the Rovers annual. I'm just showing it to the guys on the screen there. So yeah, so I'll be doing that. I'll be doing the Roy the Rovers story and Mike's Mini-Men. So looking forward to doing that. Then, Gull, you're going to be talking about the next. We've got a special episode coming up, haven't you? You're going to just briefly tell us about that, aren't you?
Yeah, later on I will. Yeah, not so
Yeah,
much a
okay.
special episode, but a little side episode. I'll explain more later.
Yep. Okay. Looking forward to that, and then we'll probably touch on some other ideas we've got for future episodes. Then we do the usual socials where you can get in touch with us, and we'll do the goodbyes. So that is the show. So yeah, looking forward to this one. So first of all, without further ado, I will cover, he says, the social media feedback. So the last couple of shows, we did a couple of really special shows to cover the Tiger 70th anniversary, which we really enjoyed doing. And yeah, we got some really good feedback from those. So on the first show, we have some feedback from, are we going to do a theme tune, Gull, for Mr. Melvin?
Bloody hell, you're working me to the grindstone. I've only been back 5 minutes. Let's see what I've got in let's see. I got right. Whoa, it's Melvin's musings.
That's good. He's still got it. What do you think, Neil? Is he still?
He's got it. He'll never lose it, will he?
And I never
there is that cream, but yeah. Okay, so from Trevor Melvin, Tiger roars again in the 70th anniversary podcast special. It was real Roy the Rovers stuff as Mute-Button Matt and Tangent Paul teamed up with comic book hero Barry Tomlinson to celebrate the debut of Tiger, the comic that introduced the world to Roy Race. Like the flying saucers propelled by the novelty space gun, which was given away free with issue #1 of the Sport and Adventure Pictures Story Weekly, Tampa Reunited episode 85 shot us all the way back to 1954. Whilst Mute-Button Matt helped to provide some context to what was happening in the country 70 years ago, Tangent Paul treated us to a cover-to-cover account of the historic first edition. Meanwhile, Barry Tomlinson, the legendary UK comic editor who still has the eye of the tiger, very good, Trevor, reminisced about his life during that period, recalling everything from the sticky time he had receiving his GCE exam results to Giddy Giddy, Awesome Pfeffer, Katzelin, Bogan by the Sea. And you know what? Well played, Trevor, actually getting the correct spelling for that. I don't know if it's the correct spelling. I'm just guessing it is.
2004 on Scrabble.
Yeah, triple word. Remarkably, Barry also gave us the inside story on the famous five, the key players who produced or played an important role in the very first edition of Tiger. Indeed, at full time, Barry, Mute-Button Matt and Tangent Paul raised a post-match glass of bubbly to the formidable forward line of Derek Burnage, Reg Clark, Frank Pepper, Joel Cahoon and Bernard Smith. Bernard Smith, who's the man who's said to actually come up with the title Roy the Rovers. It's a great episode, which will almost certainly leave listeners purring, particularly with the second leg of the anniversary podcast celebrations featuring David Skew to come. Brilliant. Many thanks. Blah, 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 blah. Thanks a lot, Trevor. Another superb review. Really appreciate the time and effort you put into that. Brilliant. And then we have our other friend of the show with his own theme tune, Mr. Adrian Lord with The View from the House of Lord. Do we have it teed up, Gull?
For Christ's sakes.
But you wanted to come back.
I don't know if I've got it in me. Hang on. Everybody in the house of Lord. Everybody in the house of Lord. One house, one Lord. Everybody in the house of Lord.
Okay, it's so much better live, isn't it? That's well done. Well done, Gull. Brilliant stuff.
My neighbours think I'm a nutcase.
I'm surprised you've got them. So Adrian goes, I've just listened to this. It's been a fabulous anniversary episode. Tiger was such a great comic, and I read this from 1980 to 1984-ish. I love Skid Solo. I love the character and the stories too. The weird thing is that I can't stand Formula One. I personally think that Roy would be presenting his own show on Melchester FM, covering Rovers matches and handling the phone-in from fans afterwards. That's because we were talking about what he may have done in his retirement. So great idea, Adrian. He could well have been doing that. I think I went back and said, yeah, maybe he could have been co-hosting something with Joe Bellamy captain of Walford Rovers. Could have done a 606 type thing. Or maybe he could have called it the Rover Lap, which I thought was, I know, inspired. And that's why I replay it back here. Yeah.
Was that your idea?
Yeah, it was.
I'll tell you something. It's a good job one of the team is good at naming things.
Yeah, they've got an issue with that. What's the problem?
No, Gull's got issues.
Gull's got issues. Sorry, Gull's got issues. So brilliant. Thanks a lot, Adrian.
I'm here all week.
You're evil. Ron Hudson, I think recently joined the Facebook site on the 40 years after Roy the Rovers. So absolutely brilliant. Congratulations on one of the great adventures in childhood. The comic of newspaper size allowed me to read, understand facial expression, and the colouring was a sight to behold, because everything that time was in black and white. Early 60s for him. So he was clearly a reader from the early 60s. It's great having. It's always interesting. It's great having these readers who would have got into Roy the Rovers at different stages, wouldn't they? So in the Tiger years or later on with the Roy the Rovers comic. So it's brilliant hearing from you, Ron. Excellent stuff. I did forget also though, and this is a shout out to Richard Sheaf, who does that fantastic blog, the Boys Adventure Comics blog spot. Because I don't know if you remember, but he posted on that not so long ago. Actually, it was just a matter of months ago that I think there was an auction of Derek Burnage, the editor of Tiger, the first editor. It was actually his personal collection of artifacts. It went for, I don't know, something like £3,500, but it had his actual typewriter as well, and it had some really early notes around Tiger. And I should have mentioned it in the show, and I kicked myself for not mentioning it, but shout out to Richard for mentioning it. So if people haven't read that, then please go to that Boys Adventure Comics blog, because it's fascinating just seeing the artifacts there. So thank you, Richard. And then we move on to the second show, and there's some more feedback from Trevor Melvin. So are we going to do the theme tune again?
No.
Good. So Trevor, he talks about the strike partnership of Tomlinson and Skew in top form, waxing lyrical about the halcyon days in which these special issues appeared. Big Bars, legendary David Skew, affectionately calls former Supremo Barry Tomlinson, recalled his successful reign in the hot seat at Kingsreach Tower, and how he'd often find himself rubbing shoulders with the great and the good of football, sport, showbiz, and politics too. The comic book hero even revealed the details of his face-to-face meeting in Australia with the billionaire media tycoon and cricket revolutionary Kerry Packer. And then later on, obviously, we showed the great new illustration which David did of what Roy could have looked like if he got into his 80s, which is fantastic. So if listeners haven't seen that, then please check it out on YouTube, because we do show the actual drawing there. So that was excellent. So thanks a lot, Trevor. Then moving on to X, there was some, because I asked people, the listeners on X, what they thought the actual drawing looked like, because Barry thought it looked like Ben Galloway. And Graham, it's GRA67 NFFC, so I think he's a Nottingham Forest fan, thought it could look like Ron Atkinson. It's not a bad shout. It could have looked like a bit like Ron Atkinson. And finally, on YouTube, there's a comment there from Pete6418, said, brilliant, thanks so much for this. So he really enjoyed the show. So thanks a lot to Pete. That's the end of the feedback. Yeah. What do you think,
May
chaps?
I give my feedback?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, thank you, Gull. Yeah, because away you go.
Yeah, I've not been on for a while, as the listeners know, and it was an absolute joy. I wish I'd have been involved, but it was an absolute joy to listen to both of those. We're so honoured that those people, feel affectionate towards us and, trust us to, have them interview them. And it was just brilliant. I actually got quite teary at one point because I just felt like I was about 8 or 9 again. And it was really, really incredible. Well done to everybody involved.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's great, wasn't it, Neil? I know you joined us for the second one, didn't you?
It was, yeah. It felt a bit surreal, to be honest. Because obviously these people, you just haven't seen them on a comic page. You never heard them speak or heard them discuss their memories, and obviously, and it was lovely to be involved. Really felt like a privilege.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well
it is amazing, Gull. You're right, and hopefully we're going to definitely get get them on future shows as well. We've got some plans as well. So yeah, we'll tell you. We'll tell
I think it's
listeners
like what
about
you
that.
said before, Matt. Though you have that many questions to ask, and when you finally get the chance, you forget you forget 95% of them, and you just want to listen to them talk.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the conscious of, we just want to listen to them talk, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the questions we pose are just literally just for them to draw on their experiences. That's all.
And some of the
isn't it,
memories
really?
they have, about the people who were involved, at photo shoots, and they can remember certain things. It was how they got the signatures, and things like that. And at first you read them, and then as you get older, you think, oh, it's just the editors putting the words on the page saying it's from whichever superstar they've spoke to, but it was actually real people. Like Paul Daniels wrote a full column, and
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you think
I
it'd be
know.
a ghostwriter or Barry would have wrote it, but it wasn't. It was actually him who wrote. They took time out, and and it was lovely listening to him. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
hang on. Who did you just mention?
Paul Daniels.
Oh, I'm back as well. It's me, Paul Daniels. You like it, not?
Yeah, he's definitely back. We are liking it a lot.
No, I can stop if you want.
Okay. Well, I'm not too sure if that's possible, but thank you anyway for just suggesting it could be an option. Okay, well, let's move along. Otherwise, this could break all records for the longest show. Okay, so we're moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is Mr. Neil Bygone Berrigan, and he's going to be taking us through Ghost Story. So I'm going to share my screen for, this may well go out on YouTube eventually, but I'm going to share it on the screen for me and Gull, so we can kind of follow the story as well. But yeah, it's over to you.
No, it's not. No, you forgot something.
Oh God, has he got a theme tune?
Well, of course he does. I did it went before.
Oh yeah.
Are you ready?
Go on, then. Yeah, go on.
Whatever he says, whatever he does, he really means it. It is Bygone Berrigan.
That is a #1 in the making there, didn't it? I think.
It was especially impressive that you actually doing the dance moves. Whilst
The
he's
shoulders.
yeah, the shoulders.
You say add #1 in the making. I think it was more reminiscent of a #2.
Really nice bit of toilet humour there. Well done, Gull.
Sorry, carry on, Neil.
No, it's all right. Okay then. So, thank you for that, Matt. So I'm going to be just quickly discussing through Football Picture Story Monthly number 58. I think on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it's number 347 because they did reissue this further down the line. It was a story that did get repeated. So the one that I'm looking from was number 58, the first issue, and it was 30p, and then 347 it was 75p. Which isn't that much of a markup, I don't think. I don't know what year that was. The one I'm reading from is 1988.
Let's have a look, because I've got it here. I don't know if it says the actual. Well, it says 1988. It must be 2000, I think. Oh, I don't know.
All right. Yeah, it's near the end, isn't it? Because it was 400 and odd.
Yeah, 2000. It's 2000. This one. Yeah, 2000.
Yeah.
Got it here.
And on the one that's on screen, you can see it's in black and white, and the one that I'm looking at, it's the lovely red, black and white colouring. So it has got a bit of colouring, which I did prefer the issues when they did that. So this is Ghost Striker. It's a Kit Carson story. So it's a scout story of a player that Kit Carson was asked to go and scout. And this story, it's a really enjoyable story, and it's one of my favourites, and it sticks out because I think for Football Picture Story Monthlies, it touches a little bit very lightly upon religious issues, and it also features, like it says in the front, a ghost. So it's very different than what other stories featured in Football Picture Story Monthly for me anyway. Just on the back, it's a picture of a Celtic and Scotland player from 1988. I won't mention it, but see if by the end of the story, if you can think of it, maybe. He's a player who was a one-club man for Celtic and Scotland in 1988 and a really mainstay of the team. So if you can think of any Scottish midfielders, I'll tell you at the end of the story anyway.
As a midfielder, so I'll go for it now, or shall I leave it? Paul McStay?
Yeah, Paul McStay. Yeah, you could
There you
have. He's not on issue 347, is he? You're not cheating.
It's Gareth Barry.
All right. You want a bad play either. All right. And so, yeah, Kit Carson, the scout's gone to watch a 20-year-old striker called Alan Dixon, who I had a phone call about. He went to watch him for Bridgeport Works team. And as Kit gets there, he's scored a goal and he's looking really good. And this old chap who's clapping on the sidelines, who it's obviously like he was in touch with Kit, he says, "Did you see the skill that he used in there?" He says he changed the direction of the bounce. I watched Nick Alderson do that in the 1930s. And then there's a little insert where it says Nick Alderson played centre forward for the Rovers when they won the league championship between 1932 and 1936. And he was a genius of a footballer who could shoot at goal standing on his head. It's obviously no drawing of that because I would like to have seen that.
Yeah, when I
And
saw that, I
again,
thought, how do you shoot a goal standing on your head?
I think Melchester had a play, didn't he, who came from the circus.
Sammy
And I think,
Spangler.
yeah, and
Sammy
he would,
Spangler, yeah.
I don't even think he could have managed that one. Yeah, so he plays in the style of this 1930s striker called Nick Alderson, and he's really good. Kit likes what he sees, and he speaks to Bridgeport Rovers, and they sign him up, and he starts playing for their reserve team, and he has a great debut in the reserve team. And due to injuries to the first team, the manager who's called Walt Kenton says to him, that was a great performance. You're in the first team on Saturday. And he says, "That's great. I'll not let you down, Mr. Wilton." And the manager says, "My name's Kenton, lad, but you can call me boss." And he says, "Sure, I've got it." So he starts his debut and he plays really, really well. Settles into the game, scores a goal, and all the fans are starting to pick up that he's actually got a really good skill and plays like Nick Alderson. After the game, everyone's congratulating him, and he says, "I thought Manvers, who was marking him, wasn't going to commit himself." And he said, and one of the players picks up, "Manvers, that's not the goalkeeper's name. He's called Larryman." And he says, "I don't know why I said that." And then he starts going to the wrong locker. And everyone's like, "Why are you going to that locker? It's not your locker." And he went, "I've got no clue." He said, "I thought this was my locker." And I think as the story moves along, he starts saying all these names of old players and ex-players from the 1930s. They're not actually players who play with him. And the next few pages are him just making them confusing statements, and he don't understand why he's doing it. But he carries on playing for the team, and he's scoring plenty of goals. Then they play against league leaders Norrington City in the following week, and he scores an hat-trick. Now, Norrington, I think that's the team that he's mentioned quite a few times, isn't it? I know it's Roy the Rovers, and also I think other comics have mentioned this Norrington.
All right.
Yeah, I'll have to double check, obviously, that. But I've heard this Norrington. I don't know if it's just in Football Picture Story Monthly, but it's not a name that I thought I hadn't heard before. So, but anyway, they're playing against Norrington, and they're in the second division. This is what I don't get. He's playing in the second division, but they played against England goalkeeper Ted Bishops. So I don't know why it's English goalkeeper. The England goalkeeper #1 would be playing in the second division.
The only keeper I can remember who may have been called up for England whilst playing in second division would have been going back a while, and that would have been the likes of Phil Parks when he played for West Ham. But that would have been the early 80s. I can't think of. Or Nigel Martin, maybe at Palace, maybe. Don't know.
Yeah, and I know a few have gone to in World Cup squads, haven't they, in recent years, who've probably been on loan in the Championship.
Oh,
and
yeah,
involved.
True.
But it's just strange how
it's worth. Sorry to interrupt. It's worth mentioning. I'm doing a tangent now. It's worth mentioning. Although not a goalkeeper, Steve Bull was in the third division when he was called up, for England and scored. And
Scotland. Yeah, I think he scored by Scotland, didn't he?
I think he might have done. Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
It's just strange how in this story he's playing in the second division against this Norrington City, but they mentioned the fact that the goalkeeper's an England goalkeeper, Ted Bishop. So it was just one for the lads if he's a recurring player that I didn't know of to have actually mentioned him. Anyway, he scores this hat trick and gets the points, and everyone's saying he did us proud and it was a great hat trick. And he said, "Yeah, it's just like the one I got against Manchester last week." And the coach says, Manchester, what are you talking about? You've never played at Manchester in your life, never let alone hit a hat-trick there. And he's like, I don't know why I said that. He said, this is strange. He says, I'm saying all these players and team names that I've never either played with or were aware of. So the coach brings this up with the manager, and he says, I've got to talk to you about young Alan Dixon. And the manager's saying, don't tell me he's been injured in training. We need that boy. And he says, no, it's about the way he keeps forgetting names. He keeps calling you Mr. Wilton. He calls me George. And the manager's like, I don't care if he calls me Mickey Mouse. He can call me any name he wants as long as he keeps scoring. And then the coach says, I've got this hunch, and I decided to check up on some facts. So he says, the manager of Bridgeport Rovers from 1933 to 1938 was Bert Wilton, and his changer was George Millership. So he says, what are you getting at? So he says, after the game last week, Alan Dixon said the hat-trick was against like the one he got against Manchester. And now he's never played at Manchester, but Nick Alderson did, and he got a hat-trick that day exactly 50 years ago. So the manager is like, you're not getting through to me. So he said, Alan keeps going to this locker after a game, even though he's been told it belongs to Tony Rankin. I found out that this was Nick Alderson's locker. He claimed it was lucky, he would never use any other. So the manager obviously is like saying, Nick Alderson died 20 years ago. What are you trying to say? So this is where I think there's like a little bit of religious tone. He says he's come back. Alan Dixon is Nick Alderson reincarnated, and it's just, I think, to mention like reincarnation, it's like if you believe obviously in life after death. He says that boy's the same style of play as the old master. He performs the same tricks with the ball. It happens. Lots of people believe in reincarnation, and the manager says I don't. He says if you've nothing better to do than dream up such rubbish, then I have. So anyway, the next week it's a Saturday and they're playing Barston, who are one of the top teams. He says, and they're getting ready. And the Alan Dixon says, "Have we got any boots?" He said, "I don't feel right in these." He said, "I need some heavier boots." And the coach says, "You mean the hard toe cap ones like they used to have in the old days?" And he says, "No time to change boots. Get out on the park." And then the coach is like keeps saying, "Look how he takes a pass in his stride. Gives him 2 yards to start on an opponent. A deft flick over the player." This is how Nick Alderson used to play. He says, "I've got a book from a library." He says it shows you all the same tricks that Alan's doing, which he's like showing. And then the next thing you know, he gets tackled badly on the pitch, Alan Dixon, and he says, He says to the coach, "Garrett's got the best of me. Tell the boss I'm gonna switch to inside right." And the coach is like, "Inside right? Who's Garrett?" He says, Garrett's played left half for Barston United in 1934. I don't know how you'd remember that because I can't remember who played left back for Man United 3 years ago, but he remembered Tommy Garrett played left back for Barston in 1934. Anyway, Alan carries on. He switched to the inside right and he starts playing really, really well. He has a shot at the goal. The goalkeeper saves it, but he follows up and barges into the keeper. And he says, "Come on, ref, that was a fair shoulder charge." But the referee says, like, "Don't try them tricks with me, son. You know you can't challenge the keeper when he's got the ball." And the coach picks up on the fact that in the 1930s you could use to charge into the goal. Anyway, Nick Alderson carries on playing, has a great game and scores another hat-trick. But again, he's calling out all his teammates. He's calling them Sticks and giving them nicknames. And when the coach looks into it, there was a player in the 1933 season called Sticks, who was a tall lad who was one of his teammates. So the coach is a bit concerned, and they ask Alan, "Have you ever heard of Nick Alderson?" And he's like, he gets quite aggravated and says, "No, I've never heard of him until he was mentioned when I signed for you guys." So they start saying, "Well, why do you start calling everybody by names from the 1930s?" He gets a bit aggrieved and storms out of the office. So the coach does a bit more digging, and it looks like that Alan Dixon could be that reincarnation of the player. The press get involved and they decide to have a meeting on television with him. And they have some evidence that when Nick Alderson died, Alan Dixon was born exact same day and exact same minute. So the conspiracy theory heats up a little bit after this. And unfortunately, Alan is not happy with this, but he carries on playing, scores another hat-trick. But up in the crowd is Kit Carson. Now, seeing as though it's a scout story, Kit Carson's not in it as much as normal. He just seems to be in the background and letting Alan play his football. But Kit's come along to this game, and he himself is not convinced by Alan's story. So he says, right, he calls his bluff and says, I know you're lying. He said, can you just tell me the truth? And he breaks down then. And Alan was lying through his teeth, it says here. And he says that my granddad was a keen Rovers fan. He said, and when he was young, he said that I'd been born at the same moment that Nick Alderson had died. He seemed to think it made him something special. So he said, Grandad never stopped talking about Nick and his wizardry with a ball. He said, and when I was at school, I got the idea that I'm going to start playing in his style, so hopefully impress his granddad and one day play for the Rovers. He said, and when his
On this,
granddad died,
Neil,
sorry,
can I just sorry to interrupt, but this is I'm looking at it on the screen there, and he's talking about his granddad, his Nick style, and Kit Carson's like listening to him intently, and he's rambling on, and then Kit goes, "Go on, son, just get to the reincarnation bit."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, just cut to the chase.
Yeah, it is.
Are you
I mean, I
reincarnated
was
or
going to
not?
read it. It is. He says, I decided there and then I was going to become a Nick Adelson and play for the Rovers. I got Grandad to tell me everything he knew about Nick's style of play. When Grandad died, I read old books, newspaper articles on the player, anything I could get my hands on. Then I practiced Mr. Carson. And obviously, Kit Carson didn't want to listen to how he practiced with a pair of slippers on and different things like his hands tied behind his back and wearing Billy's boots to try and play in the same style. It's just like, go on, son, get to the reincarnation bit. Only got 45 pages. Yeah. But yeah, you really well picked up on there. I like that. Yeah. So he says, I was doing well with my works team.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Can you hear that dog barking?
Sam. Is it it's Derek Okora.
I'm going to briefly go on mute because that dog's annoying me.
Oh, right. I thought you were saying it's like what's it called? Like a ghost story on television. Yeah, like
I know it could have been. Yeah, but do you know?
When I was reading this story, and I did think of Derek Okora because he played for Liverpool, didn't he? And I think I had a trial with him. I digressed.
I am. Sorry,
it's clever how you can talk with the mute button on.
No, I came back because he stopped barking as soon as I put it on. And anyway, I'm on mute briefly.
No worries. So anyway, yeah. So he's opened up. He said, "Yeah, I've read all these books about Nick Alderson." He says, "I really wanted to play in his style in memory of my granddad, and obviously hurry up to the reincarnation bit." So he says, I was doing pretty well with my works team. A couple of mates had been for trials with Rovers and been turned down. And he says, I had to do something special to be noticed. So then Kit says, so you set up the reincarnation hoax, calling teammates by the old Rovers players and the stump with the locker. You read about all that, I take it. And he says, that's right. It worked at first, he says, but I just wanted to get noticed. But then when the media got to the story and they ended up on television. So then Kit says, the only coincidence in the old saga was the fact that you were born when Nick Alderson died. And he says, you've been a fool. You've got real talent. You would have made the grade without all this reincarnation gimmick. So he says, are you going to expose me, Mr. Carson? I guess I'll never dare look the Rovers fans in the eye again. He says, no, I won't expose you, but I can't help but marvel at the way you fooled the press. But take my advice, let it drop, and no more memory lapses. And he says, no worry, Mr. Carson. Thanks for everything. So obviously they let it drop because the media then wasn't what it is now. You can just Google it and it'd be regurgitated every day. So he just says Rovers finished the season in second place and won promotion thanks to some Alderson specials in inverted commas from Alan Dixon, and he seems scoring loads of goals. And then the next page, because it's only a 44-page story, he says that the team got promoted. He's still scoring goals in the first division, and Kit sat on a train on a journey to Aldine to look at a young goalkeeper that he was scouting. And he says he read a report of Alan Dixon's latest hat trick for the Rovers. And he says, for some reason, I began playing around with the letters of the name. And as he moves the name, he realised that Alan Dixon is an anagram for Nick Alderson. So it looks like they may have been the same person. And he just says, was it all a hoax? And it makes you think, doesn't it? And I think, and that's the end of the story.
God.
And I think it's a really good little story, and it's a ghost story. Now I love ghost stories myself. And joking apart, I did used to watch what was he called then? We were just mentioned just then. Forgot his name.
Most
Derek
Haunted.
Okora.
Derek
Yeah,
Okora.
that's it. Most Haunted. I did used to like that, obviously for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
I did used to love watching Most Haunted, and that's why I think I like the story, because it's a little ghost story, which is a bit different for Football Picture Story Monthly. And I really like the aspect of it that it could have been a reincarnation of this old player from the 1930s, who he just happened to be born in the exact day, exact minute that he passed away. He was born. And I think it's a really good story as well, and a good Kit Carson story, because a lot of Kit Carson stories, obviously it's Carson's cast off, but a lot of them are just like 15 pages at the back of the book, mostly like the bookend for another story. So I thought it was a really, really nice story.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I mean, that
brilliant. Go
ending
on,
was.
Gull.
I was going to say that ending was such a bombshell that even the bloody dog stopped barking.
He was. I mean, as you're reading it, you think sometimes he's just done a hoax. You know, he's just fooled everybody. He's now got his big break. He's gonna let it drop. He's gonna score loads of goals, but it's just good. And as I was reading it, obviously, when I first read it, obviously I didn't pick it up. But I can say Alan Dixon, but I'm having trouble with Nick Alderson. So they must have played around for ages trying to get another name out of that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I thought it's interesting that towards the end they go, please don't expose me as like kind of making it up, but you're happy with the press to still run with the fact that he's a reincarnation of somebody else. That is a greater story, the fact that he's been making it up. So
Yeah.
he's
And all press is good press, isn't it?
But it's just when you think about it, I mean, obviously I know it's only a story, but the amount of homework he must have had to have done, you know, to keep dropping these names in and things like that, and then when you're on the pitch, actually try and remember all these little flicks and the style for people to pick it up. A lot of work gone into it if it was a true story, which I don't think it is.
But it's not. Brilliant stuff.
Just
I'll
out of
tell you
interest,
what.
on your issue, what is the second story?
Second story is, he says, obviously, to Hobson's Choice.
Oh yeah, it's the same. So it was following the same story.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Just wanting
I'll
to
tell
know.
you something. If he'd have, been playing and been wearing Billy's bloody boots,
I know.
Jesus Christ, they would have exploded.
Well, you could have Billy's boots. You could have had Andy Steele from the Football Wouldn't Stay Dead.
Yeah, that's a really good story.
Ghost
after
team,
the explosion, the wheelchair one.
Wheelchair Wonder. Buster's Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do a podcast upon stories that could have featured in Most Haunted.
Supernatural football teams.
Yeah. And obviously it's not in this. Is he in this one? Ghoulie features, didn't he? The comic strip Ghoulie.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
I wondered what you were saying there.
Yeah, that's why.
When
you said Ghoulie featured and you're going to show us something, I thought,
for the listeners who are viewing this,
it's me, Bygone Berrigan. I'm just going to talk about Ghoulie.
Ghoulies. Be a very short conversation. No,
you're not offended by the impression, are you, Neil?
No, man. No. So I think that I love supernatural stories, and I think that was a really good one. Ghost Striker. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed that.
A lovely front cover as well. I think is it Kennedy.
Move it across slightly.
Yeah, is it Ian Kennedy, isn't it?
Ian Kennedy, is it?
Yeah.
The artist.
Yeah.
And the great artist who was the main story as well. I don't know the name. You always tell me and I forget.
I don't know. It could be Neville Wilson.
Yeah.
It could be Neville Wilson.
Yeah, but a good artist as well. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. Cheers, Bygone. We're moving along.
Cheers, gone.
5 cheers gone. Moving along to Gull.
Hello.
It's up to you. Away you go.
What's up to me? Deadly silence. I was formulating a joke then, but I'll save it now, seeing as I didn't get a response. All right, it's time for my second.
What did you want me to say? How did you want me to set it up?
No, it's gone now. Too late.
Okay.
Are you sure you're glad I'm back?
What? I'll tell you in the end.
Brilliant. Deadly silence again. So this is
Yeah,
my
can't you hear-
final.
Can you not hear us? We are talking. Can you not hear
Sorry.
us?
Yeah.
I've been coughing, that's why I put it on mute. But yeah, I'm
Oh,
glad you're
right.
back.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So this is my final ever section, as I'm not wanted anymore. So, hi, everyone. No, here we go. So this is a little additional thing to have probably in every episode for the collectors out there. I'm calling it Gull's Got Issues because I name everything, as you know. And because I'm doing Scream, I know listeners know that I am a huge Scream comic fan. I have all 15 of the original issues, and all of them. And it's the 40th anniversary of the first issue of Scream in November, I believe. No, that's not right. I know what I'm saying. In September, and there's a new special coming out in November. 40 Years of Terror, a Scream special, including a new episode of the 13th Floor. So I am so happy. I mean, think about it. That strip will be now 40 years, and it's still coming with new episodes. You don't get that with many comics that you loved back in the day, do you? It's really, really impressive.
It is.
Anyway, basically, this section is just listing issue numbers, the start and the end dates for those collectors out there, and that's it really. So it's just a little tidbit, as they say. So Scream started 24th of March in 1984. So yeah, it actually was back in March, the 40th anniversary. So it's the 40th year really.
Mhm.
And the 15 issues ran to the 30th of June 84. When you say it like that, I mean, I know it's 15 issues and it's not much time, but March to June just seems so little amount of time. Only 15 issues, and then it ended after issue 15. But in September of 1984, so a good 3 or 4 months later, Scream was incorporated into Eagle. So Eagle and Scream, the logo of Scream was so tiny, it really wasn't worth it. It was just like an afterthought, really.
Right.
2 stories came across. I mean, this section isn't about stories, but they were Monster and the 13th Floor, of course. And the additions of Eagle and Scream, so the Scream part were, and this is the second iteration of Eagle, of course. Issue 128 to 153, and that's the 1st of September 84 until the 23rd of February 85. There were specials as well from 85 to 89, like summer specials and Halloween specials. We've covered those in previous episodes. But as I said, the last episode of Scream with Eagle was 153. And then it reverted to just Eagle, and then 5 issues later, Tiger was incorporated into Eagle and Tiger. So that's simple section, really. I hope that some listeners will appreciate that sort of thing, because I'll be covering, a comic every episode, just a 5-minute section each time. I hope that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, could I just ask the question? It must have had a impact on a lot of people's Scream to only have 15 standalone episodes, but 40 years later, they still, like you just said, they're making this new special. They must have. I wonder how many listeners, people bought the comic for him.
Well, I mean,
to have an interest still. If it would run like Eagle, like Roy the Rovers and Victor, to then do a special, I can understand people buying it. But for something that had 15 comics, why did they discontinue it? If now they must have done the market research to release a special. There must be a lot of people out there who still have fond memories of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that with respect, a few of the stories, the 13th Floor, Dracula Files, things like that, they've had omnibus editions later in the years as well. But
yeah.
I mean, we've touched upon this in previous podcasts, Bygone, and basically it was just really terrifying back then for a kid's comic, and it didn't sit well, and it just, there was a backlash against it, and it ended after 15 editions. there was going to be a 16th edition, but they definitely decided to call it a day. But then, of course, the feedback that they got, I guess, for the next couple of months, especially about the 13th floor, that's why it did continue into Eagle. But yeah, as you said, it's very much loved still, and continues to have new additions, which is amazing.
It's definitely like a cult, isn't it? It's almost like a cult.
The
comic
readers
and
now
story. The 13th floor,
like
definitely.
In the 50s, 60s, 70s, mustn't they?
Yeah, well, they will be. Yeah,
I think it's probably, I don't know. There is with Rebellion, like taking over a lot of the back catalogues and re-releasing them. I see them on Amazon, and I've never read any Scream stories. I've never read the 13th floor, but you see like the compilation, excuse me, compilation issues online, and they must be popular. I've never read any.
Yeah.
My dad always
buy
talks
it.
about one in Buster. Is it Peter the Cat or something like that? I don't know. He was a panther at night or something, and that's one of the compilation books. And it's just like I never knew like Charlie's War. I've never read that Charlie's War, but the following that as and that was out of a comic as well, wasn't it? So there is that interest there, but I think it's all people of our generation now who
I think, as you said earlier, that they Rebellion aren't no mugs. They'll do their research. On different fan sites, or they'll do it in different ways, and they'll know what sells. And that's why they've been really particular in what they put out with these compilations, haven't they? So they know there's a cult following out there, and there's a certain amount they'll sell. And when they do them really well as well. When I've seen these books they do, I mean, well, as you know, the Rovers ones are brilliant as well. So yeah, I mean, and it seems like that they're releasing more and more, on particular anniversaries as well. So if any listeners haven't, obviously, Gull, you're talking about Scream there. It kind of piques my interest. I didn't read it, but I think I'll probably buy the
I was just gonna say I'm gonna buy the special,
the omnibus. The special, because it sounds like a fantastic read.
Yeah, it's out in November, $5.99. It should be in most newsagents because all of the previous specials have been. It's a worthy addition, and you never know. You might like the 13th floor, which is just as listeners know, one of my all-time favorites, and I'm just chuffed that it's just continuing.
Brilliant.
Good. Thank you. Well, Gull, you had issues and now you haven't.
Well,
have we solved your issues?
Yeah, for this episode, I've got no more issues.
Brilliant.
I like that. I'll use that again. Thanks.
Yeah, use that again. Yeah. Excellent. Right. Okay. So moving on, that's really good. Excellent stuff. Good. Genuinely, we know that listeners will appreciate that. So great idea, Gull.
I know. Sorry to interrupt. I know that forgive me. I can't remember who it was, and you'll correct me in a second. But there's always a question from one person, I think, about wanting to know issue numbers. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, I'm going to do something for every episode.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
I'll finish now.
Oh, you finished? Okay, I was just waiting for you to interrupt me again. All right, good. Right, let's move on to. I know you're going to interrupt. I knew you're going to do it. I just knew it. I shouldn't have said that. I was a fool.
He's horrible to me, isn't he, Neil?
Curse him.
I'm not interrupting. I'm just listening.
Good stuff. Right. Okay. Ooh, that's wrong, isn't it? All right. Bear with me a second.
Our podcast.
Yeah. Where are we going? Right. Okay. I'm going to share my screen for the guys on the call.
Shall I fill the gap of silence?
Well, no, because I can just edit it out.
Oh, okay.
Right. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Excellent. Right. Okay.
Hey, how have you done them? They're really good scans, aren't they? Are they from your own copy or are they offline?
This is from This is from digital. This is just digital
All right.
copies. Yeah. Right. Are you ready?
Yeah, you
Don't
can.
forget to leave. Hang on. Don't forget to leave a gap for the edit.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Just let me know when you're ready. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we're going to cover, or partly cover anyway, the 1985 Roy of the Rovers annual. So I'm going to go through a couple of the stories within the annual. I won't go for the whole annual because, well, we quite frankly haven't got enough time. Anybody from the Roy of the Rovers 40 years after Facebook site will know that our friend of the show, Trevor Melvin, does fantastic reviews or has reviewed all the Roy of the Rovers annual. So if you haven't read that, then please search it out, and because he did a fantastic review of this. But anyway, we've got friend of the show, of course. Yeah, so we've got Roy on the cover, a great David Skew illustration, heading the ball into the net. I'm guessing it goes into the net. We can't quite see, but I'm guessing it does. It usually does when Roy heads it, doesn't he? Then we've got the contents page. We've got some of the stories in there of Roy the Rovers, Mike's Mini Men. They're the two I'm going to go through. The Hard Man was in there, Tommy's Troubles, Daryl's Palace, and yeah, Mighty Mouse. So that's all the stories in there. And we've got a picture on there. Watch out for Walk. So that's Tottenham. Looks like Glenn Hoddle's wearing no shorts whatsoever. Against, it must be
Darling,
Ipswich.
I love you. I'll always want you. Those diamond lights. Sorry, carry on.
That's good. Okay. So, oh God, that's not going to move on. Right. Okay. So we're going to move on to the story. Can you see the story there, guys? Right.
Yes.
Okay. So the Roy of the Rovers story. So this isn't. I don't know who the actual artist is there, but it's in colour.
Van, is it not? Button? No.
Oh yeah, I think it is. No, you're right actually. Yeah, I think we covered this before. Yeah, it is Yvonne Hutton. It looks like Yvonne Hutton type.
I was just going to say, it'd be interesting
anyway.
to see who's drew the Jorrell's Palace story.
Yeah,
Darrell's.
I think it is Darrell's. Yeah, you should Darrell's, didn't you? You should Darrell's. Let's call it off. I think it actually is in here. We can check anyway, but I think it actually is Yvonne Hutton. So we've got the Rovers there. It's January 1984, and it's the first division match against Western Villa. Villa scored 2 goals, so Melchester are down 2-0, and we've got Vic Guthrie has a shot, but the keeper saves it. So Rovers are kind of struggling, so much so that Roy actually almost loses it. Well, it doesn't lose it, but he actually has to give him a bit of a rallying call. So come on, you lot, put some effort into it. You're playing like a bunch of dummies instead of professional footballers. If you can't take your chances, you've no hope of winning. I mean, so the players like, Vic's going, you can't talk to us like that. And Duncan's like, let's just show Roy Race how we can play. We'll show him. And Roy's thinking, phew, it worked. With them in this mood, we can't lose. So anyway, they get back into the game. Blackie scores with a header. Then there's a foul. Rob Richards is fouled, and it's a penalty. Roy takes the penalty, so it's 2-2. And now they're going for the victory. Charlie Carter comes out, and he's injured, and he can't. Well, they say, can he play on? He go, yeah, I'll be all right, Roy. Just go up there and score another goal. So it's dying seconds of the match. Both sides were confined to the Villa half. Eventually, Duncan Mackay tries to break through, but he gets clattered as well by a couple of defenders. And eventually, Roy gets the ball, passes it to Vic Guthrie, and they score a goal, and it's there. Rovers have come back, and 3-2. So good victory, but Roy then goes into the dressing room at the end of the game, and it's like carnage. There's players on the bench, players on the floor, all injured, and Roy says to Taffy, how's it going? He's going, it's not good, Roy. I'm afraid they're all going to be out of the first team for at least 3 weeks. And Roy's like kind of...
It's not good, Roy. You're all going to be out of the first team for 3 weeks.
It's Welsh, isn't it?
Can you do it in Welsh?
Can I do it in Welsh?
Yeah, go on.
Glantlidni, the Gadag, and the go. 3 weeks.
Apologies to our Welsh listeners.
Listen, I'm half Welsh. Leave it alone. Carry on.
Oh yeah.
How low is that neckline on Roy's?
God, it is a bit, isn't it? It's a bit
It
punchy.
is, isn't it?
bit plunging. Okay, so Roy's he's thinking, oh my God, we've got a UEFA Cup match with Kresberg next week, and we need our strongest team to stand any chance of winning. So anyway, the next few days, the story continues. We're extremely hectic as Roy and Taffy tried unsuccessfully to get the 4 injured players fit. Eventually, Roy saw that it was hopeless, so he decided to just give up and went to the horse racing anyway. So he decided to take a day off at the races with his wife Penny. So they're in the Lotus Esprit, the red one. He's going, I can't help thinking about next week's match, Penny. She's like, oh, forget it, Roy. There's nothing you can do. Just relax and enjoy yourself. So they're watching the horse racing. At the end of it, Roy talks to his old friend, Jack Tyler, who looks incredibly like Taffy, actually. So it's been a long time. And so, yeah, it has been a long time. That's the last race, Roy. Roy race. The last race, Roy race. Anyway, it's too many races, too many Roys. So why don't you come and have a quick look in the stables before you go? So Roy goes, yeah, sounds interesting. So they go into the stables, and then whilst they're in there, they see that there's an injured horse there, and they've put some sort of magnetic thing around its leg. And Penny's going, oh, what are you doing to that poor horse? And Jack's like, nothing painful, I can assure you. It's just a magnetic field which increases the blood circulation to the injured leg. Now Roy has now started stroking his chin, thinking, oh, hold on a second. Injured horse. Because Jack
I can play the horse instead of Vic Guthrie.
Play the horse up front. Yeah.
Yeah. He can hoof it up front. Hoof it up front.
Very good.
All right, leave it.
So anyway, he gets straight immediately. He gets on a phone, a purple phone. Randomly, there's a purple phone in the stables, and he goes, "Never mind why, Taffy. Just get them over here as quickly as possible." And Taffy, who's is exactly the same as Jack, says, "Okay, Roy, we'll be over there as soon as I can." But he says it in Welsh. I just can't do that.
All right, I'll late today. I'll be there as soon as I can.
He's now Geordie. And then anyway, they turn up. So you've got all the crippled players there, and you can tell they're injured because they've got walking sticks, because they've all got walking sticks. I don't know why. They've all got walking sticks. And Roy then introduces them to the stables and the horse who's eating some hay there. And Duncan's like, oh, no, I'm not having treatment here. I'm allergic to horses. They bring me out in a rash. And so no, I'm not joking, not at all. This is the new treatment that works with magnets. Horses seem to benefit from it. So I see no reason why you shouldn't. Instantly, Roy is a medical expert. He's, the equine, medication is just as good enough for humans, obviously, clearly. Duncan's not happy.
How he got Penny pregnant then, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe the twins were born in the manger. I don't know. Could have been, couldn't I? So anyway, Duncan's the first to go.
Hang on a sec. They could have ended up playing for Queen's Park Mangers.
Oh, good work. You know, you were gone quiet there, and I thought you're going to come back with something good, and you did. Well done. That's a good.
Genius doesn't come quickly.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
I'm not responding to that one either, so don't go there. So anyway, they're carrying on the treatment, and the horse is kind of taking a bit of a shine to some of the players. And yeah, but Roy's just thinking, well, this is going to work. Is this going to work? So they're running out for the next match, and you've got the crowd are really looking forward to this, and Kresberg are there, and Melchester, and Kresberg know that obviously there's some of the Melchester players were injured, so they're kind of, they're kind of going to be playing on some of their injuries. So immediately they have a shot. Oh, actually, yeah. Rob Richards has a shot and he scores a goal, so it's brilliant. So he's okay. Then they're racing through. Kresberg are attacking, and they're going, quick, get back, or Logan will score. So it's Kenny Logan's now attacking, And the defender go, oh, it's no good. He's too fit for me, because Kenny Logan's got there and he stretched, and yeah, that's 2-0. At the other end, then Kresberg attack, and they're thinking, as he shoots, the Kresberg striker is going, the keeper won't stop this. He hasn't recovered from his injuries. But oh no, because we know that he's had the magnetic treatment. And so Charlie Carter's stretches out and he saves that. And yeah, then Duncan scores later on as well. And then Roy scores again, number 4. So Racey's done it. What a goal. And then as they're walking off the pitch, Duncan even turns to Roy and he goes, well, it worked, Roy. Thanks to you, we're in the next round. And Roy goes, yes, but I've got more plans for you 4. And Kenny Logan goes, huh? What do you mean? And Roy goes, I've entered you all in the Grand National. There you go.
UEFA investigated this actually, and they found out there was no horseplay.
Oh
dear.
Gull, can you better that, or can you? No.
Well, I was going to say I liked Kenny Logan's musical career. I mean, one of my favourites of his was "Highway to the Dangers." Oh no, sorry, that was Kenny Loggins. Sorry, carry on.
Very good, very good. I knew. Yeah, excellent stuff.
It's good
I
story.
don't have to come back. I don't have to come back, you know.
No, we need you back. We need you back. Right.
Before
okay.
we start the Mini-Men bit, can I just mention something about the last episode, or whichever episode it was, where Tangent was talking about the popularity of Subbuteo?
Yeah, go on.
And you know, he was saying about, you know, is it as popular, you know, nowadays? And it is, I think. At the moment, there's the Subbuteo World Cup taking place in England. I have done for 5 years, play in a Subbuteo World League. I've won 2 trophies. And I know you say, well, how can you play Subbuteo with people on the other side of the world?
How can you play Subbuteo with people on the other side of the world?
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you mentioned that. Basically, you know, you play it fairly. You know, when your team, you play on your own, but when your team loses possession, then you're playing for the other team, and you play it like that for real, because otherwise there's no point playing. And there's about 160, 170 players around the world. It is very popular still. But sorry, I just thought I'd mention that.
I watched them on the news. I don't know if it was Newsround or something like that many years ago, and it's exactly what you just said. Then you make a move, and then they do exactly this. It's like they had like a grid on the, you know, as the pitch where each player was. Yeah, I watched something about how you can play it. There was cricket. I'm sure there was a cricket Subbuteo as well, and that there was something similar.
There was, there was.
And a rugby.
I don't know how that works.
No,
I used to have that test match. Yeah, I used to have test match. Yeah, that was good fun.
There was a rugby one I've seen advertised in old Tigers as well. I don't know how you'd throw the ball to each player, you know, for him to catch it. I don't know. But the only issue was we never had a table big enough for Subbuteo, so it always used to go on the floor, and then your dad would come in and stand on one of the players, and we'd then have to melt him on the hob to stick him back to the base.
Well, your dad? That's a bit harsh. I bet he didn't do it again.
No, but you developed an affinity for that player then, because he's got like a disability because he's only got like his knees upwards. But they used to be dead quick on the wing.
It's like the Invictus Games.
Sorry, I'm still laughing at that previous joke. That's probably the best joke for about 73 episodes. Bravo.
It's slow. It's like one of them slow acting jokes. You'll be giggling away in bed tonight at that one.
Next time I play a game, I'll be thinking about
it. Excellent stuff. Right. So you're absolutely right, Gull. Yeah, you're right to kind of mention about Subbuteo. I know we mentioned it before, but you're right. It does seem to be, well, I don't know if it's as popular as ever, but it's incredibly popular anyway. Still is. Yeah. So that's great to hear. So for listeners, that's what we're doing at the moment. We're going to be doing Mike's Mini-Men. Now, we've mentioned Mike's Mini-Men, but I don't think we've actually covered it in any sort of depth on the podcast before. So I'll just kind of give just a brief background to it. This is obviously in the 1985 annual. So it started in the Royal Rovers comic. It was created by Barry Tomlinson. It was his idea, and it ran until the 26th of April 1980. So for quite a few years actually. But as we said before, it then appeared in specials and annuals after that. So even readers that started reading Royal Rovers after that, that's why the kind of Mike's Minimen is held in such a high regard. And this is actually a reprint. The story in the annual is a reprint of the story which appeared in the comic on from the 16th of April to the 25th of June, 1977. So this is like 7 years old, really, I guess, because this annual would have been created or compiled in 1984. The author was Ian Vosper, who obviously was the editor of Roy the Rovers as well. When Barry stepped back and he had Ian doing Roy the Rovers and Paul Gettins doing Tiger. We don't know who the artist is, so if any listeners know who the artist is, then please let us know. I have asked Barry, and he can't remember, bless him, because it's like so much to remember, obviously. What I'm sharing on the screen was a few bits which Barry's got from his career. He has got the original synopsis for the story, which he shared on X probably about a year ago. I'll quickly read this out. It says, so it's the line is new football paper, because by this time it still hadn't decided on the actual name of it, and it's going to be a picture story. And Mike's Mini-Men, and he says, Subbuteo is a very popular game with boys. This is a story of a boy, Mike, who has his own Subbuteo team. Brackets, of course, we won't call it a Subbuteo team, close brackets. His team plays in a mini league against teams owned by other boys. They have all the drama of real life football in their mini games. Mike can come up against bullies, nice kids, and nasty ones as he competes. There is plenty of scope for story development as Mike adds to his set, has players lost or stolen, competes for competition, victories, etc. Very good reader identification with Mike. Sometimes the action on the mini field helps Mike when he is playing football for his school or youth club team. Although we wouldn't use the name Subbuteo in the picture story, the manufacturers of the game would no doubt welcome such a story and would be willing to cooperate with competitions and promotions, donating Subbuteo sets as prizes. It would also attract much advertising from that company and from companies manufacturing similar sets. It's brilliant reading this stuff, isn't it? You kind of just thinking of the creative process, and so thanks to Barry for that. So I'm going to go through the story. What we have here, we have Mike Daly. So he's actually moved school. He's moved to a new boarding school, and so he's at St Mark's, his boarding school, and it's his birthday. And some of his friends from his previous school turn up. So he got there. So happy birthday, Mike! And he's thanks very much, lads. It's really great to see you all again. And then his friend Martin hands him his massive, great big present. And he goes, "This is just a little gift from myself and the lads." He goes, "Oh gosh, it looks like an enormous present to me, Marty. Many thanks, all of you." And he opens the present, and what is it, guys? Can you see what it is?
It's not
a stripper. It's a grandstand. Yeah, exactly. It's
2 or 3 tiers, is it? 2 tier.
The 2-tier, yeah, the 2-tier grandstand. I can remember having that. I'm guessing a lot of listeners had that stand as well. Did you have that stand, guys?
Yeah.
The grandstand, yeah. Brilliant.
And then to complete the look, we made our own standout shoe boxes as well.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah. So it took us an hour to set up, and then by the time we set up, we didn't want to play anymore. We had to put it all away and let my dad stand.
But then your dad would come in. Yeah, I know, and you stuck him on the hob. Okay, excellent stuff. So he's got his grandstand, and they go, okay, well, yeah, what about a game of table football? You go, okay, Martin, providing you promise not to beat me, here's my birthday. So Mike gets out his team, and it's Melchester Rovers. And I said to him, well, how did you get that? And he said, well, it's a present for my folks, and they were hand painted by my dad, because you can't get the Rovers colours in shots, because obviously later on they actually did bring out a Subbuteo team, didn't they, Melchester Rovers. Obviously they could see the popularity of it. So anyway, they start playing the game, and
it's interesting just to mention there. Sorry, Matt.
No, keep going.
In that bottom right hand frame of the first, you're seeing with the flicking finger. A lot of people that aren't table football aficionados think that you can actually flick it by placing your finger on the thumb and flicking it that way, and that's illegal. Of course, you can only flick it without any help. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's very technical information there, Gull, but I think we'll appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's good. No, I think it does, yeah. It does. I mean, I don't know if I played it properly. This is kind of, because I think I only ever played against my brother.
You know how you click your fingers?
Yeah.
Like that.
You know, yeah. But that would be an illegal. If it was like your flicking finger, that would be the illegal play. You're not allowed to have the finger.
We used to move the players like by. Imagine, I mean, I've got horrible fingers anyway, but like this, and then you push the player. You can't do that either.
Well, I mean, if you're playing, you know, as a kid, it don't really matter. I'm probably coming at it from the league.
Yeah, no rules. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I do apologise.
No.
It's interesting though, because I never played in the proper competition, and yeah, I'm sure that there has to be certain rules, obviously. Yeah.
It's good. They must have done the homework though. You know, it's quite well drawn, isn't it? That panel to show that.
Yeah,
that's
the finger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'll be watching that now for the rest of the story to make sure that.
No, I just thought the same as well.
So Mike's playing within the law so far anyway. So far, but we'll pull him up if there's any shenanigans later on. So he's playing Martin Fisher, and yeah, Mike scores a goal. Then there's a foul in the penalty area, and yeah, Martin Fisher takes the penalty against Mike Daly, and he scores, and he says, "Oh, he took it just like Jeff Hurst, a thundering drive into the net like a bullet." So that shows you know, how the story was first originated back in the 70s, because Jeff Hurst in 1984, I'm not too sure if that would have been a reference point. Games continues, then all of a sudden, a girl walks in. I mean, what's all that about? A girl in the Rovers? That doesn't happen, don't it? And she's carrying a cake. And it's got a table football game on top of it. And one of the boys goes, "Hey, Mike, who's the girl?" So, "Oh, she's just a friend. She offered to make a cake for my birthday party."
Wow.
I know. So anyway, the party continues, and they're having a good time, and we've all brought like food and drink and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, suddenly, the dormitory prefect comes in. Somebody called Davis. He goes, "Caught you having a party, eh? Where's my slice of cake then, Daly? I told you to reserve me a large piece." And Mike's clearly a bit frightened of him. Go, here, Davis. And there's one little kid there goes, "Oh, we saved you the goal. It'll go in your mouth. Get it? Goal mouth. Ha 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 ha." And Davis clearly hasn't got a sense of humour, and I don't blame him really, because it's not very funny. But then the next panel, he's got the biggest hand in the world, the biggest pairs of hands in the world. I don't know if you see this frame, guys. But he has a go at the kid, and he's eating a slice of cake, and he goes, "That's cost you 1,000 lines, Porky. And Daly, I've got a nice birthday surprise for you. All first year boys are putting on a concert in front of the headmaster and staff, and you're the star of the show." Like, Mike's like, but I don't know anything about concert, Davis. You say it's in front of the whole school? And he's like, "Yeah, that's right. It's going to be terrific, especially with the head and all the staff present. You better start rehearsing. You've only got a month." And Mike's like really scared about this. And he's like, "A month? But what am I going to do?" I'm sure you think of something, Dad. Anyway, you're not the only new boy, and there's a couple of other boys in there. There's Node in 1B, and then there's Newton as well, who's in the same class. Then the girl pipes up, goes, "That Charlie Davis is just a big bully. And look who else he's trying to rope in as well. My younger brother, Tim Newton." And Mike's like, "I didn't know Tim was your brother, Jan." And then we have a little bit of an explanation. Janina, known to the boys as Jan, was a new friend of Mike's. She lived with her parents nearby. So anyway,
wondering why there was a girl at an all boys school. It's a bit,
yeah. And she looks a lot older as well. I'm always a bit concerned about what she's doing there, really. Anyway, let's not go there.
Different times.
Different times. Moving on. And then, we've got some other good news for you, Mike, as well. We go, "Oh, what's that?" "Yeah, we've got a friendly match against you. This is his old school, Petersford, are playing against St Mark's in 2 weeks' time. So they're going to be playing an actual friendly football match." And he goes, "Oh, that's terrific. I just hope I can get in the team." that's Mike, you know, hoping he can get in the team. So anyway, so they off they go, and the story moves on. So Mike's now doing some chores in the school, probably doing something for Davis, his prefect. He's going, oh dear, being a monitor has its disadvantages. It's taking me ages to put his lot away. He's trying to put some books away in the study. I hope I'm not late. Anyway, he arrives late at the football training, and the sports master's having a go at him. Evening, Daly, glad you could join us. What's your excuse, lad? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I stayed after. And well, it's no excuse, Daly. You don't come to school to be a child lady, and certainly not during my games period. You'll be here on time, understand? And now Mike's worried because he's not going to get in the team. He plays well, and he actually scores a goal. But anyway, he's still not quite sure if he's going to make the team. So he gets back to the dormitory that night, and then Davis is there again, and he goes, Daly, come here at once. And he goes, oh no, what does he want? So now he's there. I think he's there with Tim Newton. So Mike's there with Tim Newton, and Davis is there. And Tim Newton looks a bit like the Ronnie Corbett character actually out of Sorry, when he was with his round glasses. And he goes, oh, thank you. Look, the prompts are still working, eh? Unrehearsed. And Davis goes, oh, Daly, meet Cedric. Oh no, it's Node. Sorry, it's Cedric Node. Cedric Node. I mean, come on. That's an awful name, isn't it? He's taking part in the New Boys concert with you and young Newton. I'm sure you can think of a good act. I haven't thought of anything yet, Davis. And this is Davis then tells them what they're going to be doing. Well, if you can't think of anything, I will. As stars of the show, you will have to not just be good, but brilliant. All three of you can sing. You can impersonate Duran Duran.
No way.
What about that? And they're like, but Davis, there are only three of us. And, you know, don't argue. It's all settled. We've got plenty of records. All you have to do is learn to mime to them. Now, at this point, I've added in the panel from the 1977 story, which the guys can see on the screen. And in that story, he says, the three of you can sing, you can impersonate the Bay City Rollers. About that. So they've changed it. Obviously, they updated it because, I mean, Bay City Rollers in 1984, you know, they're probably doing some, I don't know, holiday camps in Scotland somewhere, weren't they? So
I think this was discussed on one of the Facebook pages.
It was. Yeah, I can't remember who mentioned it. Somebody mentioned it, didn't they?
Because it just got like a deja vu moment, and they were saying, I don't know if it was you, but they said they'll have to find the exact panel, you know, where they've changed it because obviously Duran Duran weren't around when it was originally put on. Yeah.
So it's a great update. Yeah, so
still around, isn't it? So.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, Gull, you're a big Duran Duran fan, aren't you, as well?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll have to bring back the Master Champ Challenge one day.
Maybe. You did do fantastically well on that. If listeners remember that show, I think that was one of Gull's highlights of the show. I think he did superbly well. But anyway, moving on, we digress. Anyway, so Davis wants them to do and sing to or mime to Duran Duran records, which they're aghast about. And so anyway, so I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know how we're going to get out of this. You know, he's talking to Cedric, and anyway, they're talking about the table football fixture because they're supposed to be playing a game there. So Mike had forgotten all about this. And so now Mike's put his Melchester team out, and he's got, I wonder how many Roy Race is going to score now. And he said, oh, well, I've got Blackie Gray as well. He's in form. It's funny how he actually used to talk about his team as if they're actually in form. Never mind the fact he was the one playing, but he used to talk about Blackie Gray was in form or Roy Race was in. I do remember that. And I'm thinking, that's a bit weird. They're not real players, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, Mike doesn't play very well, actually. He's misplacing passes. He's obviously got the fact that he's going to be impersonating Simon Le Bon in a month's time on his mind. And it would probably put you off your game, wouldn't you? He's actually, but some of his goalkeeper's showing a good reflex, though.
Very good.
I said goal. Good. I said he's showing good reflex. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. All right,
then. Thanks. So he made a save. But yeah, so the game goes on, but he's I think it's a draw in the end. I think the game. Anyway, Mike's best friend Phil Birch comes over and goes, "What's up, Mike? You're not playing that well." He said, "Not to worry, Phil. Everyone has off days." And he goes, "I hear you're bottom of the table Football League daily after only 2 games. I think, well, after only 2 games isn't that bad to be in bottom, is it really? But anyway, he said, no, I'm just off form. But then just then Davis comes in. He goes, oh, you won't have time to practice anymore because I want to see you rehearsing for the new boys concert. This Davis looks really scary, by the way. If anybody hasn't actually read it, he looks a really scary character. So he's putting pressure on them. But then Mike's got a bit of an idea. He's with Tim and he's with Cedric. And he's going, I've got a bit of an idea. He said, we're going to have to do something else. What do you mean something else? We'll never get away with doing something else. Yeah, you must fit. Davis is an idiot. He's bound to find out if you do something else. He says, oh, no, he won't. What we'll do, we'll go into the private study and we'll play those Duran Duran records and he'll think we're miming to him. But what will we do? We'll be playing table football. Cedric's going, well, table football, why? He's going, well, that's what we're going to be doing for the concert. We're going to put on a terrific exhibition match that will surprise everybody. So, yeah, I mean, it would be a bit of a surprise. You're expecting Duran Duran and then suddenly you've got 3 kids playing Sabutio. That's going to be a bit of a surprise, I suppose, isn't it, really? But then later on, so Mike's got so much on. He's spinning plates, honestly. He's got table football matches. He's now actually playing again in the practice match for the football match. Then he's 1 minute he's in Duran Duran.
Tell you what, they're certainly wild boys, aren't they?
Very good, very good. I hope you've got a list there you can go through the rest of the story. I'll be disappointed if you don't get 7 and the Ragged Tiger in there somewhere.
Well, yeah, you
know. So anyway, Mike Daly's playing quite well in this practice match, but he's still not quite sure if he's going to get into the team. And there's a semi-naked boy going, we'll all know tomorrow night, Mike. The team list will be on the notice board.
Well placed speech bubble.
Well placed speech bubble. Yeah, we'll know tomorrow, Mike. He's got socks on. He's definitely got socks on anyway, that kid. Moving on. Jan, is it Jan or is it? I don't know if that's a girl there or not. I'm not quite sure. Newton, you come for the rehearsals. Young Daly's in the private study with your other pal Node. Oh, it must be Tim. Anyway, so they're supposed to be practicing. They put on a record, so you can tell they put on a record because you've got musical notes flying up into the air. So the music must be on. But they're playing table football at the same time. But then all of a sudden, Davis is on his way, and they think, quick, put it away. So Davis comes into the room and goes, right, see how good you are. He goes in, he goes, you have been rehearsing, haven't you, Daly? And he's now caught the classic. He's got hold of his ear and he's pulling his ear. You know, things were great back in the 70s, weren't they? This is the sort of things that kids are missing out on nowadays.
I tell you what, he looks like he's angry like the wolf.
Angry like the wolf. Oh God. So anyway, and he pushes him. I'm waiting for the rest of them, and he's pushing him. And they're talking amongst themselves now because they think, well, is he onto us? Do you think he suspects something? He said, no, he didn't even notice the table football things. And anyway, we were rehearsing table football. Anyway, Mike's now back at the school, next frame, and he's running. Is he going to make it against? He's going to see if he's playing in the team now. So he looks up and he's not. He's down as sub, and he's thinking, well, you know what? I've only been in the school for a few weeks, so that's fine. So he doesn't mind too much. Story moves on. He's in class during maths period, and he gets somebody comes out and goes, a message from the headmaster. He'd like to see Daly. So off he goes to the headmaster, and the headmaster's there. And he goes, Daly, I've got 2 questions for you. Do you know anything about a concert given to all new boys to be held in a couple of weeks? And he goes, well, yes, Davis, sir. He's organising it. Myself, Node, and Newton are going to mine to Duran Duran records. It was Davis's idea, sir. All right, very interesting, Daly. You may go. And I was like, oh, thank you, sir. And he's got an amazing moustache, actually, I've just noticed. He's like a proper Jimmy Robertson, is his name? Jimmy? Oh, God, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, handlebar moustache.
There you go, Daly. Off you go back to the class. Go back to the classroom. Go back to the ordinary world. Go on.
Oh,
getting a bit poorer.
What's that?
I was gonna try and put that one in.
Sorry.
I've got them all in.
Yeah, and then you were going to, but then you come undone.
The next one.
Right, so you got to do ones which people know.
Yeah.
All right. Girls on film.
There's got to be relevant to the story. So you can't just shout out. You can't just randomly shout out. Or you can actually, because it's
I'm not
funnier
even
as well.
on planet Earth, am I?
Oh no, you're not. You're not.
No,
Right,
you're
I've stopped
invisible.
Right. Anyway, so they're about to put on a record, and Newton and Node barge into the room and go, "Hey, Mike, have you heard the news? Davis has been expelled." He said, "What? But why?" And they go, "Because the new boys' concert was a fiddle. There's no such thing. Davis was going to make you and everyone else take part, look fools. And when the curtains rose, there would have been no one present." Dave's gone, "Of all the rotten tricks." So all that ruse was about concert was just this Davis. I don't know. I mean, it's a weird storyline. Anyway, the story continues. They're playing table football, but the problem is with Davis going, he gets a replacement as a dormitory prefect, and this one's even scarier than the previous one. This one's called Grimes, and he barges in and goes, "What on earth do you think you're doing? Get this stupid game packed up at once. No one will dare play it while I'm here." So this Grimes has really got something against table football. I don't know what happened in the previous life, but he really doesn't, want them to
Yeah,
be
so
playing
you're
it.
right. He does, honestly, he does sound a little notorious.
Yeah, okay, right, okay. I was wondering if anybody's playing podcast Duran Duran song title bingo, that would be like number 10 on your list. Yeah, so he goes, "Right, you don't know me and I don't know you. I'm Lawrence Grimes, and in case you aren't aware, I'm your new dormitory prefect. I want to see you individually in my study. Anyone trying to get out of it will feel my cricket bat across their backside." Now, yeah, I know, different times. I know, it's not, yeah, I know. Now he's lounging on his bed, and Mike goes into his room, and this guy's he's got big teeth, really scary, awful haircut as well. Yeah, and a wig. He's got a syrup, and he's only like, I don't know, 16. "I hear you're the organizer of this table football nonsense. I want it withdrawn immediately. Do you understand?" "But Grimes, you'll soon learn not to argue, Daly. Your cheek will cost you 500 lines by tomorrow. Now get out." Now,
All right,
Mike's,
you made me chuckle then.
they're in the common room. Mike and his friends, and they've all got smoking jackets on. It looks like plush velvet smoking jackets on all of a sudden. It is a posh boarding school, and they're talking about Grimes, and they're going, "Oh my God, we thought Davis was bad enough, but this guy's 10 times worse." And then Grimes says, "Cut out the chatting. It's time you lot were in bed. Lights out in 5 minutes." So anyway, the story continues. It's quite a long story. Now we'll flash back to the football match. Mike's on the bench for the game against Petersford, which we found out already. He's been a bit friendly with the Petersford lads, and the St Mark's lads don't really like that. But anyway, they're warming up, and they don't start too well, St Mark's, and Petersford go 1-0 up, then they go 2-0 up, and that's when in the actual annual the story pauses, and it's continued on page 81. So just before we get there was a couple of little articles here. So there's an article on the screen called Champion, and this is there's a competition run clearly by IPC, and it's all readers of Tiger, Battle, 2000 AD, and Eagle to win a holiday for 2 to Florida by winning the final of the Mattel Electro Olympics held in London. All 19 competitors who reached the final had to show their skill on the latest electronic TV games, and Roy the Rovers reader Malcolm beat the lot. So yeah, we've got some pictures of that event. I remember Barry talking about this, is that is an amazing first prize, like to go to Florida. And then I think all the runners up got a game console. And I think after that, I think he decided not to have such a big gap between the first prize, because you can imagine, can't you? I mean, getting a games console would be fantastic, but yeah, holiday to Florida is amazing. But anyway, so there's some pictures there. Yeah, there's pictures.
Jerry Adams was of Sinn Féin there.
That's Vosper, isn't it?
That's Ian Vosper. Yeah, that's right. He does look a bit like Jerry Adams of Sinn Féin.
Nice pints.
Moving.
The lad's got a little alcoholic cheeky cocktail there.
Yeah. He's got a Del Boy cocktail, hasn't he? With like 3 umbrellas in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got a couple of scary clowns there in
I wonder
the photos.
if he's a listener and he's won this prize, please get in touch and talk to us on one of the podcasts about your experience, Malcolm.
Dickinson. Yeah. Please
We
do.
have a few, don't we, listeners who have appeared on in the comics. So, Malcolm Dickinson, come on down and tell us about what it was like in Florida.
Come on down.
Meeting that clown thing, whatever.
It must be amazing to be featured in a comic. I don't know if I've mentioned it. Carry on.
And then this is the last one before we go back to the game. There was a feature in there, and they used to do this every now and again. They used to visit different football clubs, and this is a feature on Saturday at Spurs. So they have loads of photos. Send a photographer to. This is at obviously White Hart Lane back in 1984. It's good looking at these photos. Are interesting because obviously back at the time, Tottenham's ground anyway would have been like state of the art back then.
Yeah.
Obviously, looking back at it 40 years later, and that they've got a brand new ground. Obviously now it's great flicking through these photos. But I mean, I'm not going to flick through all of them. But I used to enjoy those features back then, and it's interesting to look at them now as well.
That's the venue of the highest ever crowd that Torquay have been involved in for a football match.
Brilliant. So on your first episode back, you've managed to get every reference point you've mentioned of the previous 86 episodes. You know what? You are a genius.
Thank you. I'll mention it though. It's 55,000 people. Tottenham v Spurs. Tottenham v Torquay.
Tottenham versus Spurs. Wow. Local derby.
Yeah.
Anyway, the story continues. We will get to the end of this story, listeners. Bear with us. Pause. I need to have a cup of tea if you want, or a cocktail. So we've still got the match. Mike's now on. He's making a big difference. He sets up a chance on the keeper saves it. Then there's a resulting corner. It bounces back out to Mike. Someone goes, hit it, Daly. But he doesn't hit it. He chips the ball over the defence. And then Phil Birch, he gets to it first. And it's a goal. Well done. Come on, St. Mark's. You can do it. Let's have the equaliser. So they push forward. The crowd are talking there. You've got them on the run, St. Mark's. And Mike's thinking. And he's like, he's holding back. And the ball was headed out for another corner. And the ball's going straight to Daly. It's beating everyone. He can't miss, and he launches forward. There's a brilliant diving header, and it's there. It's the equaliser. Great goal, Daly. Now let's have the winner. But it's too late. Before they could attack again, it's the game's over. It's 2-2. Everybody's happy. But Mike's walking back now, and he's quite happy. I did play well, so I'll go back and join the others at the hostel. I wonder how they're getting on with old Grimes. And now we see Grimes. He's having a go at one of Mike's friends. He's going, right, I'm telling you for the last time, table football is definitely forbidden. Any boy found playing it will have his pocket money suspended. But Grimes, don't talk to me out of turn, Duar. After that interruption, you will write out 500 times by tomorrow. I must not argue with prefects. This Grimes is nasty. I mean, how old do you think he is? Guys, can you see him? He looks like he's, I don't know, he's 40s or something like that.
I think so. It's obviously been kept back a few years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair though, I do remember a cover of a Roy the Rovers issue in colour with Mike Daly on, and his head was, his body was about 600 times bigger than his head. So even Daly might have been 90 for all we know. If we go by that cover.
They never seemed to make boarding schools appealing either, did they?
I must admit, I didn't apply whilst I was reading Where the Rovers. I didn't fill out an application form.
I was probably dreading it. If my mum and dad, you go to boarding school? No, I've not got a smoker's jacket. I'll never fit in.
Dear. So anyway, now they're worried, obviously, because Grimes doesn't like table football. So what are they going to do? How are they going to play the games? And so Mike's got an idea. I know, we'll go into a private study where there are no windows, and we'll play at nighttime. So about 9:30, because Grimes goes to bed about 9, so we can sneak out and play then. So thinking, okay, yeah, we'll do that. Everyone's having a communal wash. It's very nice and friendly. Tops off, and so they're now trying to plan.
I should hope so. Otherwise, their clothes would get wet.
Yes, yeah, I know. So they're playing in this evening, and they're passing notes through class, and Grimes manages to intercept one of the notes, and he goes, "Oh, who wrote this?" I said, "Come on, I won't ask again. Who wrote this?" And Mike stands up and goes, I did, Grimes. He goes, "You, Daddy, what do you mean by this little note to Dewar? Don't forget to tell the other dormitories." So obviously, Grimes is kind of catching on. They're planning this secret rendezvous, trying to play in night time. Mike comes up with some sort of story saying, actually, we're thinking of playing the five-a-side football league at weekends, and we thought the other lads might be interested. But Grimes is thinking, oh, hold on a second, they're up to something.
I think Grimes is probably thinking, is there something I should know?
Good. Very good. Very good. Very good. In the meantime, Grimes is actually he's given Mike a bit of a beating with his bat. He gave him 4 whacks with a cricket bat. Yeah, different times back then. But they still plan their rendezvous, and then it's night time, and Mike wakes up for a couple of the other lads, and they all get together, and they meet in the study, and they play a game, and yeah, it's going well. It's going well. Although they keep saying not so loud, keep your voice down, because obviously they don't want anybody to kind of hear them. And then there's a bit of a noise. Mike's thinking, "Oh my God, somebody they might be onto us. I'm going to go and investigate." But they can't see, but there's somebody standing. You can just see somebody in the panel, but they don't make themselves known. So they go back and they carry on playing the game. And in the end, the game finishes and they pack away. And they're creeping back to the dormitory, and then all of a sudden, it's Grimes, and I think he must have a torch. He goes, quick! I caught you red-handed. Right, all 6 of you in my study immediately. And so now he's kind of pulling them all into the dormitory. He goes, "Come on, get a move on. We haven't got all night." And they're like, "What's he going to do? What's he going to do to him?" Now you 6 are in very serious trouble for disobeying me. I've forbidden this table football game for yours to be played ever again. It seems you take no notice of what I say. But Grimes, how dare you interrupt me, Dewar? For that I'm going to confiscate the entire game. As further punishment, all of you will go on a cross-country run every morning at 6. Now go to bed. So now he's taken away their game. Now they're thinking that, oh, we're going to give up. We can't do anything. But he's never going to give up. Is Mike? He goes, no, I've got an even better idea. They go, what are you going to do? How are you going to? He's got a table football game as well. And so what he comes up with is they can play somewhere else. He goes, we can still play at night, but in the potting shed. The potting shed? But that's where all the gardening equipment's kept. He goes, yeah. And there's loads of space. I checked this morning. There's even an old billiard table in there. So it's all set up. Hey, the bell's gone. Come on, we'll talk about this tonight. So anyway, they're back in the smoking jackets. They just put out their pipes. And Mike sneaks into Grimes' room, and he gets the table football, and then he gathers the rest of the smokers, and now they're walking along to the potting shed, and they arrive there and they go, "Oh no, something we didn't think of. The door's locked." Idiots. And they go, "Oh no, that's something I've completely forgotten about. The gardener must take the key with him." And one of the other kids says, and this is the funniest of the whole story, goes, "You're joking." And I'm thinking, yeah, you are joking, surely. Come on, it's midnight. We've all got out of bed, and nobody's thought that it actually might be locked. But anyway, it is locked. So now they go, "What about the windows?" Oh yeah. So you're in luck. One of the windows is actually open. Right, who's the smallest of us? And guess what? The smallest is somebody called Tim. As in tiny. So you can't make out, can you? Yeah, tiny, you'll do. And so it's a good job you're a titch, Woody. No one else would have made it. And so
it's a good job you're a titch, Woody.
Titch Woody. Yeah. So I don't know if it's Tim Woody. Maybe it's Tim Woody. Tim Wood, who's Titch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
God, I don't know.
Massive.
Anyway, so he manages to get in, and he opens the door, and they're playing in the potting shed. They're playing football again, and they're arguing about fouls. They say, "No, you fouled one of Phil's players, Paul." He goes, "Rubbish, Daly. I never touched him." Mike's there with his finger. The referee Mike is the referee. The referee's decision is final, Paul. Don't argue. Free kick to Phil. Mike can be quite harsh when he wants to.
Mm.
But then suddenly, pack up the game, lads. There's someone coming. Quick, switch the floodlights out. Everyone get down. So they all hide, and somebody just walking past, and it's like, oh, do you think they would have seen us? No, you're okay. Don't worry. Okay. So the game continues, and anyway, they all have a good time, and it finishes 1-0. Phil Birch wins. They go, well played, Phil. Okay, let's get back to the dormitory. So they creep back. They put the game back. They don't wake up Grimes, or Mike puts the game back. They don't wake up Grimes. And Mike was soon tucked up in bed and go, well, that's another match played. It looks as everything's going to be okay until the next time, anyway.
Wow.
And that's the end of the story. In the annual, anyway. Obviously, that was that's the it carries on. I think what happens is Mike then changes schools again.
Yeah.
And sets up another table football league. And yeah, much japes continue.
He
But
goes
that's
to
it,
America,
guys.
doesn't he? I think as well.
Does he?
Yeah, the later ones. I think he went to America. Introduced it over there. Table soccer.
Table soccer. Brilliant.
I mean, like when you were saying before, sales for table Subbuteo must have gone up, but I think the sales for B&Q sheds must have gone up because the amount of people they could fit in a shed with a massive Subbuteo. Some of them games were unbelievable. I always wanted a shed just to play my Subbuteo in, but for a potting shed, it's ridiculous.
There must have been big pots. There's a lot of potting going on in that
Or a
building,
tiny woody.
Tiny woody. The ventilation with all the pipe smokers.
Secondhand pipe smoke.
Yeah, I love it. I like Max Miniman. I think I don't know if you just mentioned it, but they did another one of them stories, didn't they, in the previous annual? I think I don't think it was 1986. I think it was 84. I think there's been a few. I don't think it might have been a holiday special, but there's a few Mike's Minimen in annuals. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean,
I think so, yeah.
80.
Yeah, I haven't got the 84 one here. It's in my garage. I've got the 1981 one, but I can't see it in there. But yeah,
No.
let's say I think it's a great filler really for annuals, wasn't it? To put the story in there. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good story anyway. I think, and I liked it, Max Miniman. Until the later years, I think the artist changed over towards the end ones,
right?
And it wasn't as good as that. Yeah, well, in my opinion, anyway. I think you get used to an artist, don't you? Sometimes, and if it's not,
You definitely do. And when they change, this is why it's been said before, isn't it? They really tried to not do that. Or if somebody replaced them, then they gradually blended the styles in, like David did with Yvonne for the Roy story, didn't it? Because yeah, the artist to me is so important. It's incredible, really. Good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that.
I like the point that you brought up as well about how he says Roy's in form, Black is in form. I think I bet you if you spoke to a lot of people, obviously, Gull, you might tell me different here, who play Subbuteo. I bet they do have like a favourite, even though they're just pieces of. I don't want to offend people. Pieces of plastic. They probably do have the favourite. One of the even though it's just like I say, piece of. They probably have got the favourite man or whatever. Do you go?
Well, I mean, I'm as I manage my team, I've got to be fair to all of them, and some of them, they if I haven't buffed up the base properly enough for that particular match, they fly off the end, and obviously I drop them for the next game. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
how often do you buff up your base?
Well, not as often as I'd like, to be honest. All right, here it is. Oh, shit! There's a curtain.
Yeah, but
no, seriously though, I get you. You have like your favourites or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's what.
I mean, if you think about it as well, going back to the Subbuteo leagues, my team when I play, the team I look after, if that makes sense. because obviously I'm playing another team. I have to have a second set of teams, and I just chuck them in the box because obviously that's my advantage. If I'm playing at home, obviously the other team is the away team, so there's the advantage by looking after my team of players and buffing up the base, as it were, and the other team I don't look after. That doesn't mean I win, but that's the advantage that you get in inverted commas as being the home team.
Yeah, I understand.
Because there has to be some swing of favoritism, even though you're playing out fairly. There has to be some favoritism in the sense of it's a home match for you.
Yeah, just don't iron the pitch.
Huh?
Just don't iron the pitch.
No, you're creasing me.
Don't iron the pitch. Oh, blimey. Yeah, put it over my knee and iron it. I nearly lost my leg.
Right. Anyway, good stuff. Okay. Well, it's good that we covered Mike's Mini-Men, and thanks for that extra information about Zabutio as well. Good. Let's move along the running order. Gull, you're going to talk to us briefly talk about the next episode, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll actually be recording a side episode, as it were. We've done one of these before, many moons ago, about Doctor Who, and I invited two guests on, and we discussed the topic at the time. I'm just easing myself back into doing podcasts with you guys. I'm going to do a special episode about ground hopping, which listeners will know I've mentioned in the past, but also park running. And now that might not make any sense at the moment, but it is a very interesting topic. And I do have another project that involves both of those, and I'll explain all in this special episode. Two of the people that are involved in it are coming on as guests, and we're going to discuss all the things that are relevant about it. But I've got people all around the world doing this every weekend, and it'll all make sense. It won't interfere with the normal episodes, will it, Matt? Because I know we're back in 2 weeks' time. But it'll be, I hope listeners will.
Huh? Yeah. It's just an additional episode, yeah.
Yeah, an extra little episode. And I hope you guys will enjoy it. Yeah, just something slightly different.
Good stuff. We'll look forward to that. Yeah, we're doing that this coming week. So, yeah, listen out for that, listeners, if you're interested. And if you fancy doing some ground hopping and park running, then get involved. And we'll be back for some future episodes. Which that, maybe some of the squad will be coming back from their sojourns. But what sort of stuff have we got coming up? Neil, have you got any things kind of lined up? Any other things lined up?
Yeah, I'm going to review a couple of the stories in the Roy the Rovers 1978 holiday special. I'm going to review the Roy the Rovers story in the Safest Hands in Soccer story, which is a worded story, so a little bit different than a panel story. So I'm going to be discussing them in the next episode. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. And Gull, yourself, you got some other ideas?
Well, I'll be trying to fit in another one of my catchphrases, just to please Tangent Paul. I won't be back next time because I quit. I've actually fixed that in now, so that's good. I don't have to do it next episode. No, I'm going to be doing in a couple of months that Scream special review. I'm also going to be covering Striker issue 1. When it went from the newspaper to the comic. I'll be doing something on that, and lots more as well.
Brilliant. Looking forward to that. Yeah, and I've got some other stuff like Roy the Rovers stuff. Sorry, got This Is Your Comic Life for Mervyn Wallace, and I'm going to do the Tommy's Troubles, the creation of Barnes United when they first created that. So yeah, working on those at the moment. So yeah, lots of stuff coming up. So yeah, stay tuned, listeners. Good. Well, you can contact us and let us know about this episode and all the episodes and anything else you want us to kind of cover in future episodes by various means. So there's ways you can get into contact with us. I'll cover the Facebook and X site. So Facebook, there's a few places really. The main one being the Roy the Rovers 40 Years After Facebook site. Loads of fantastic stuff. But actually, there's over 7,000 members now There's been loads of new members just recently joined. Lots of really good posts on there as well. So please contact us on there. Then there's the Champ We Are United Football Picture Story Monthly Facebook site as well. So again, there's loads of new members that have joined there. And then there's the Mighty Comics, the British Mighty Comics.
Mighty World of British Comics.
That's it, yeah, Mighty World of British Comics Facebook site, which we post on as well. So loads of places on Facebook. Then
Striker World.
Striker World as well, yeah, absolutely. And then there's X. So our handle is @champ_R. That's @champ_R. That's ARE. And of course on YouTube as well. We tend to stick these out on YouTube. We mainly focus on the podcast, but on YouTube you can kind of look us up on there, and you can follow some of the stories which we've been talking about today, and lots of other episodes on there. So yeah, if you want to get into contact, do that. And Gull, also, we've got our superb archive site, haven't we? Do you want to tell the guys about that?
We say it's what was that? What did you say there, Matt?
Nothing.
Oh, sorry. I interrupted myself there, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it's our old forum where we all, it all began, and it's champweareunited.proboards.com. 55,000 posts over a period of 12 years. There's no real activity on there nowadays, we're being honest, because it all takes place on the social media sites. But there is such a vast amount of information on there about everything comic-wise that you could imagine, and much, much more as well. So, yeah, you're welcome to join if you want to look at the archive.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff. Good. Excellent stuff. Okay, chaps, that's the show then, really. So it's time to say goodbye.
When are you starting? When are you starting to record? Oh, that was the. Oh, I thought we were rehearsing. Oh, I got you.
No,
just kidding.
Yeah.
Bygone's face there was a peach. He thought, "What the bloody hell is he talking about now?"
That's that is something I would do. I want a press record. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So Neil, do you want to say your goodbyes?
Yeah. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the Ghost Striker story that I did. If anybody has got an issue that they would like me to have a read through, just please post it in the comments.
Yeah, good shout.
Thank you. Bye.
Brilliant. And
for
listeners, for your awareness, whenever he says goodbye, he waves. It really works well on audio. Go.
Like my face.
Yeah.
You say goodbye, please.
Goodbye, please. Or, all right, I'm glad you liked the ghost story, and bye. See you. Hello. No, good. But thank you for having me back. I've really enjoyed it. I hope my return wasn't too annoying for listeners.
No, well, they'll let us know anyway. It's been brilliant having you back. I'm sure all listeners are pleased you're back. We're definitely pleased you're back anyway. So excellent. So yeah, really good show. Thanks, Neil. Excellent. Thank you very much for Ghost Striker. Listeners, hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back again in a couple of weeks' time for the normal show, and obviously we've got the special show coming up in a few days. So yeah, until then, see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
That was good. I enjoyed that.
Hasn't finished recording yet.